My name is Magdalena Nour. I represent Mine, situated in Malmö. And we are a NGO that has been around for 13, 14 years. And what we do is that we encourage and educate employers on diversity and inclusion and how to make that a profit for them. Our members that we have are everything from large international companies till municipalities, universities, and small startups also. And we're in the center of Malmö. About the name Mine and if it means anything special or it stands for something, it is an acronym, of course. Originally, it was 15 years ago almost, it was an abbreviation of Malmö i nya Europa. That's Malmö in the new Europe, which is kind of cute almost if you look at it in hindsight. These days, Malmö is the world, and a few years ago, the abbreviation was changed. We kept the name MINE, but today it stands for Mentorship, Innovation, Networking and Education, which happens to be our services. The reason that Mine was founded, it was founded by a number of large companies that are also present today in the board and as members, that contacted Malmö University and the municipality of Malmö. And those large companies, they kind of realized that there were a lot of competencies in the city that they didn't find, and that these competencies didn't find the companies. So somehow there was a need for a connection. So it was a kind of realization that we have to do something. It's not only people looking for jobs that need to adapt, change and learn things. Also companies that are looking for competencies need to get some tools to actually recognize the competence. Working in Malmö, and also I've been working for many years in Denmark and with Danes, it's very interesting when you come to these norms and also prejudices, how things are different. There's not one side better than the other, but you have different opportunities in Denmark and Sweden, depending on where you have the loopholes in the prejudices. So some things that are good in Sweden that will get you a job here, it's not helpful in Denmark, and the other way around. Some things that might be an obstacle in Sweden might actually be a good thing in Denmark to help you get in. And we have a theory of Mine about this. We're talking about it a lot in Mine because there's so many people commuting, and especially we see that people from other ethnicity, many times it's easier for them actually to live in Sweden and get a job in Denmark. And the theory is that in Sweden you tend to focus on the inclusion of everyone in the workplace. And if there's someone who appears to be different from the rest of the people in the workplace, you worry too much about how he or she will get by at lunchtime or at the Christmas party. In Denmark, our impression is that you actually don't really care. You see a competence and you need it, and that's the good thing about the good thing about that is that you do get a job, and then you're getting accepted thanks to your competence. And then the employer maybe don't worry that much about how you will handle the Christmas party or whatever. You're welcome, and then you have to deal with it yourself. So it's very important to see that the words, the sayings might be different on these sides, and to turn these challenges and obstacles around to make them opportunities. And that's what we advise some of the people we see that have problems getting into the job market. Well, even if Mine is focusing on ethnicity and specifically on academics with a degree from another country or with a international background, obviously we also talk about gender, we talk about functional variations, we talk about LGTB rights, because it's all about norms. And norms help us get by in everyday life. If you don't have norms, your brain would go completely berserk because you can't make active decisions on everything you do. Then you basically wouldn't get out of your house because it's too hard for the brain to take a decision about everything. So of course you bring things with you, and for example, gender might not be a political issue that much in the Scandinavian countries. I mean, everybody knows that you should get equally paid and men and women should share responsibilities at home and so on. But of course, as we're all aware of, that's not a fact. It's not how it is, even if we're striving there and politically, and if you talk in society, it's not a big issue to debate. But still, we all continue to do wrong. we don't reach it. And of course, you get the norms you get from home, you get from school, you get from friends, you get from people you meet, and so on. And we all have norms, and we all have prejudices. The important thing is to realize when you actually fall into one of those holes and like take responsibility. It's like this classic that you tell the dads, you're gonna watch your kids today. I'm not watching my kids. A dad is not watching his kids. He's taking care of his kids. It's not like, okay, you're gonna watch kids. Whose kids? Your neighbors or your colleagues, whatever. A dad takes care of his kids, and as a mom does. So it's like when we realize that the words we use and the things we say and how we approach, it makes a big difference. It has meanings. So the important thing is just that we realize that we have things with us to make the brain and everyday tasks work. But then you can take a step back outside the box and just look at yourself. It's like, okay, how did I end up saying that? I know that sounds weird. And it's the same thing with authenticity in the workplace, that we need to focus on competence. We need to see people behind what we first see. People are so much more than a nationality or a religion or in a ethnicity or color of skin. And if we just judge people from one of those things that you apparently see directly, we lose so much that a business could gain from a person. So I think that obviously it's not like everyone agrees on everything, but there is like a red line in society on how you should act and should behave, what's expected of you. And still, I and so many other people do mistakes every day. And the important thing to remember, I think, is that you can have enormous amount of good intentions and still make mistakes. And you can know all rules and all laws and all everything and still make mistakes. And that's fine. That's okay. But then you just need to discuss, take a step back and reflect and think about what really happened and how can I avoid it in the future to make it smarter. The vision is to have an inclusive society where everyone belongs just at right of being themselves. And our mission, how we actually work with it, from our point of view, is to tear down barriers between foreign-born academics with international merits and the Swedish job market. And tearing down barriers, it might sound very aggressive, but what we do is actually to try to point out to all kinds of employers the advantages of including different kinds of competencies from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, and so on. Because what you get is business development, you get employer branding. If people can be themselves in the workplace, they can focus on work. Then they don't have to focus on putting on a mask entering the workplace. They don't have to focus on covering up things of personal matters, but then you can just focus on being there. So you get less people sick, you get more engagement, and you get a better result. You also get better products. When we talk about the future, our present work and what we aim to do is obviously to include even more companies. We need all kinds of employer organizations to take a step into the future and realize that it is diversify or die if you want to hang around here. And when you come to the networking part, we also aim to get more employer organizations, because we try to be like the bees going around between these organizations so they can share best practices. There's a lot of good initiatives, a lot of good understandings, a lot of smart people out there in the different employer organizations who see how the organizations benefit from a more inclusive approach. But everyone is not there yet, and we are there to educate and inspire, tell good stories, share good stories between the different employer organizations, and to provide mentorship and to provide networking, most of all. Well, the challenges of an organization like mine is, I mean, we are an NGO, we have member organizations, and we don't have any kind of public funding, so we are obviously depending on how many members we have, and we need them to pay their contingencies and also to use us as much as possible. We're working as consultants for anybody who wants us to come and clarify how any specific organization could benefit from working more focused on diversity. And I mean, the future is bright. Our services are needed. We have a 3-year plan, 2020 plan, which includes financial stability to be able to be sure to being there another at least 13 years to provide business profitability to all kinds of organizations. But we also have an aim to become more members, obviously, to spread the word and to get a better value, even better value for our members, to learn from each other. And we also have an idea of expansion. We have a sister organization in Örebro since a year back who are doing our mentorship program. And we are talking to a lot of other smaller and larger cities to copy some of our concepts. And we believe in it because it's all focused on how organizations can do better at whatever they're doing. If it's about handling patients or getting customer satisfaction or making more money, it is a smart thing to do to be more inclusive. So let's talk about some of the practical things that we actually do for our members. We get contacted for many reasons. Actually, one of the most common reasons at the moment is that in employer surveys, a lot of people ask for more diversity in the workplace. And that's a common thing that then HR or CSR people or top management call us and say that we need to do something about diversity. And we ask, so what specifically would you like to do? And they say, I don't know. And then we have, okay, let's start from there. What would you like to get out of it? Well, we want to benefit from different competencies. We want to be able to include competencies when we see them. We want to attract and retain all kinds of people. We want this to be a good workplace because we need people to stay here. So what we do practically is that we go out, often in management groups. It's incredibly important that the thought of the profitability of the diversity is that it comes from the top management. So very often we go out to management groups and make workshops. It's films, it's small, you make reflections, and of course they get some basic tools regarding norms and other things, how to reflect on things and to be able to put on some different kinds of glasses. We also provide all our members with networking facilities so that we organize networks, which is, for example, based on that one of our member, they get to invite all the other members, and then they can talk about how they have been working with diversity and the effect of having another large company or another large player in the society talking about what they have done successfully. It's so much more efficient than us just talking about it, and that's very appreciated. And then of course you get the network on top of it. You can talk to HR and CSR and management people in all kinds of different organizations. And we do pure inspirational talks also to show how silly some reactions are and show how much more fun it becomes if you have a little more diverse company, and not the least the more profitable.